I think I'm a guy. I've always felt this way. I just didn't quite know, like, the term transgender. Like, I didn't know that, yeah, I'm trans, you know?
I thought there was a time when she thought maybe she was gay, and I thought, wow, that's an easy one. I'm game for that. I can get behind that. That's totally accepted. And then when she said she was transgender, that was just really scary to me. But it turns out it's not so scary. I try to provide as much loving and support at home, so if she does come across mean, ugly stuff on the outside, she's got home to come home to.
In my 7th and 8th grade year, I kind of started thinking I was, but instead of accepting or trying to figure out who I was, I decided to double down and act more boyish. But throughout my freshman and sophomore year, I still was in some rejection, but I started looking more into what it was to be transgender, how I guess you could tell. And then by my junior year, I finally understood and started accepting the fact that I wasn't a boy, I was a girl, and that's how it was going to be for the rest of my life. And by my senior year, I started coming out and started acting more like who I was, and that really helped me reaffirm that I am a female.
She said that she was transgender, and she had been, over the years, she had been through a lot of different identifications, trying to figure out what was different about her and what felt right to her. And when she said she was transgender, I thought that was the most difficult lifestyle, and it was going to be really rough, and I really tried to get her to not transition and to think about it more, and which was totally wrong on my part, and I wasn't as supportive as I should have been in the beginning. But so it was just a really scary moment to realize that your daughter is going to be the transgender person that is so much in the news. They're being murdered, they're being bullied, they're being beaten up. It's a really scary thing. But we had all these worries, but so far none of that stuff has happened.
She was the one that really helped me, like, come out in my transition, because, like, when I met her, that was when I was still like, my name is Kelly.
But you said you said
yeah, I said Kaden, but I wasn't sure, and she helped me. She still helps me, like, be extremely confident in myself. So it's a lot of helping with confidence and acceptance. She's there to remind me, like, hey, it's okay to be transgender, it's okay to be you, this is who you are, and that's perfectly fine. And she constantly reminds me. If I didn't have her, I'd be like, just kidding, I'm a girl.
It was very, very frustrating to be sitting in place, not moving forward with it, out of fear. But then, like, when I actually did start to move forward, like, everything was fine, and all of the fears proved to be completely and entirely unfounded. For the most part, everyone accepted me, everything went just fine, but, like, it still wasn't quite right up until I physically, medically transitioned with hormone replacement therapy. I was never really happy with myself. There was always something I hated when I looked in the mirror.
I mean, I wasn't there when you cut your hair, but I've been there for every single haircut after, and
Right,
how
right.
long do I like it? When does it start to look girly?
Yeah.
Or days where you're like, hey, I'm just feeling more dysphoric today, or I'm feeling really feminine, and you just need a little extra push of like, no, you look really good today. And
In a way, it does bother me to feel masculine. For instance, my voice is very boyish, and I think that's part of masculinity. And it does kind of irritate me a little bit, and I guess when I feel masculine, I don't feel like a girl, but in the same sense, that's just my opinion. I understand many girls will try to act more masculine, that's alright. In my personal preference, I just don't like being masculine, I like being more feminine, because that's how I feel like I can be treated more like the girl that I am.
It makes me really uncomfortable when someone messes up and calls me Kelly or calls me by female pronouns. I try to, like, hide my feminine features. I don't know why. I don't like feeling feminine.
I think he's given me almost all of the clothes he wore.
Yeah.
Anything that he'll be like, does this make my hips look big? And he'll be like, take it, I don't want it anymore.
It's probably a lot like being any other female, except for the fact that I have to shave my face, I have to put on foundation and color correction to make sure I don't have that ugly 5 o'clock shadow. And there's also tucking. Because, like, if I went out in public and I, like, happened to have a crotch bulge, like, no, that would be the most humiliating thing ever. That would be terrible.
We were at Chipotle once getting food, and someone called him ma'am.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
like, for the rest of the day, he was just like, why did she say ma'am? Like, what is it about me?
I'm
Why did she say
uncomfortable
ma'am?
because I feel male, you know. I feel like a guy, and I don't know. It's like you're always conscious of what you're doing, because if I feel like I'm doing something wrong, like I'm not male enough.
Even though they're those who may have more of a male appearance are harassed more. But I guess for me and for the small community that does exist at my school, it's more so silence and go mind your own business.
I mean, it's important to have other people recognize what you're doing and to recognize you as a male and understand and use the right pronouns. And if somebody says something else, it kind of jeopardizes that, and you feel for a moment like maybe all this hard work was for nothing. And so,
With just 1 year at high school, I thought that it would be easier for her just to get through this last year and then transition, which was a huge mistake, and she wound up really depressed and despondent and just kind of a mess. But we had to get her into therapy, and you know, it was a really awful time for her. But once she got to college, she wore dresses from then on. She dressed like a girl. We weren't allowed to use her birth name anymore, and we still don't.
and once he said Caden, and once I had he pronouns, it's just been Caden and he pronouns, and I introduced him to my parents that way and my friends, and it'd be weird for him because they'd be like, hey, this is my friend Caden, and he was always expecting me to say Kelly.
Yeah, that's true. I still think of myself as Kelly, but
It takes time.
yeah, it takes time. But I know I'm Kaden.
I think the only time it's hard is if I'm ever in a situation where I have to call you Kelly. It's hard to know, like, how much does he want them to know? I don't want to out you to someone who doesn't know yet, especially in those early stages when you were still telling people. It was like, he hasn't told this person yet, but I know he wants people to know. Do I say, actually, it's Caden now and he's trans, or do I wait and let you do that and then see how they react?
You know, when she went through the transition and it was difficult for us not to use the birth name, and she would scream, that's not my name.
I didn't do that, Mom.
She did do that.
No, I didn't.
And, you
I
know,
might have done that once or twice.
it was a bit upsetting for me, and it was kind of traumatic for the whole family. But once we got behind it, it's been really a great experience.
I've never been like harassed for being transgender or anything like that. And so
I mean, between us and Lawrence, it's hard to know who's more blue. Like,
That's
we're some of the
true.
bluest cities in Kansas.
That's true. I don't know, because I know that a lot of Kansas is red Republican, but my friends and my school directly are so accepting.
It's hard when it's not a more liberal state. So I think in Kansas it's difficult, but at the same time, that's the governmental perspective. I think from the just people who are friends with people who are trans and their families, I think a lot of them are supported and included. And I think that there's many cities across the state that are cool with anybody.
When you talk about large urban populated centers that are typically they're more democratic, you could say definitely more blue, and I think living near those is what really helps, because you can go, just for me, like 30-40 minutes, I can go to a city and I can get the support that I need from friends there and from the communities of the LGBTQ there. And I think just being in closer proximity to cities makes it a lot easier for those who live in more smaller towns to definitely have a better safety net and definitely be able to be more accepted and keep moving forward.
I feel absolutely fine here. I haven't experienced any transphobia, any issues at all with living in Kansas. It's very much broken a lot of the stereotypes for me.
It's a lot harder in Kansas to come out and be transgender. We're still kind of stuck in the Bible Belt. We're right in the middle of the U.S. It's a country home type of state. And you can't go 20 miles outside of town without seeing a whole bunch of farmlands, so a whole bunch of old farmers. So I honestly do think it's a little bit harder for not just transgenders, but for the gay community period to come out. it's really tough. I mean, I know I had a lot of grief in high school, but the more I worked with it, the more I accepted myself, and the more I would look in the mirror and say, I'm a beautiful person for who I am, and not take the crap and negative opinions of others, the better I felt.
The only time that I can think of that we've received any homophobia was like an 8-year-old neighborhood boy that came and yelled at her from the driveway. But yeah, other than that, it's been really good. All the fear has been coming from us, from what we hear.
People surprise me every day with their beliefs, but for the most part, Wichita, I think, is extremely accepting.
It's definitely not hard to like walk in public holding your hand or anything. Like I don't
Yeah.
judged.
I think the people that, by and large, the Kansas state people, the people of Kansas, I think most of them are very supportive of the whole LGBTQIA nowadays. Just like everywhere else, we've progressed very well.
Coming from a parent, I think it's probably a lot the same everywhere you go. But what really makes a difference is that we, the parents, need to be accepting, and we're what makes the difference rather than the communities a lot of the time. It's just need to get in line and accept it and support them at the very beginning.
And the biggest thing is you just need to look at the person as a person. Throw away your political beliefs, throw away your religion. Look at them as a person first. Just for instance, I'm a Catholic and I'm a transgender. And the biggest thing that from the Catholic faith, one of the most conservative religions in the state of Kansas, is that we've been taught to, regardless of the person's religion, regardless of who they are, you still love them and you accept them. And I think that if the most conservative religion can argue that, I think we all can.
They recognize that, you know, it's not an easy situation he's in, but it is also that they don't believe in it. They don't think it's right. So sometimes that's at the back of my mind, but it doesn't make me uncomfortable.
I'd go back to the whole medical explanation of it, of hormone imbalances in the womb causing the disconnect in the brain, not being able to accept the sex of the body.
We have medicine and we have psychologists who have finally pointed out that being transgender is not the mental disorder that people would like to argue, and that it doesn't go against one's faith. Being transgender is normal and that it's absolutely healthy. Instead of starting rejecting these people for who they are, start embracing and accepting them.
I love her, no matter what she is, who she is, anything about her, I love her.
I'm extremely proud to know him, and I think he's one of the strongest people I know.